One thing we've talked about before on the channel is how the fast food business is not doing too great right now, but it's actually deeper than that, guys. In fact, America's restaurants in general are in trouble. The restaurant business is not going too well right now, which is kind of a sign of the broader economy, right? Because restaurants are completely optional. Nobody needs to go out to eat. Everybody does need to eat, but people don't need to go out to eat, right? So if restaurants aren't doing that well, then that's a sign that people are kind of hunkering down financially and trying to hang on to more of their money. Well, we just got a report from the National Restaurant Association's Performance Index, okay? And they had their most recent report out as of August. And even though there was a slight uptick in business for restaurants, overall, things have actually gone downhill, okay? Because take a look at this chart here. This chart shows you the Restaurant Performance Index going all the way back to 2003, and the line right in the center that says 100 is basically normal, and anything above that means that the restaurant industry is expanding, and anything below that 100 line means it's in contractionary territory. And as we can see, there's only been really a couple times that it's been seriously contracted, and that was during the GFC between 2007 and 2011, and then also a sharp decline during the pandemic. But also, as of recently, pretty much ever since the end of 2022, we're seeing another sharp decline, pretty much almost as bad as the GFC. And it's almost not even noticeable on the graph, but there was a slight uptick in business performance for restaurants in August. But the overall trend, as you can see, since the end of 2022, is in a downward direction. Basically, the big problem for most restaurant owners right now is the fact that most of them are reporting that they're seeing less foot traffic and sales decrease for the most part. Now we can also take a look at another metric related to the restaurant industry called the Current Situation Index, and that measures the current trends in 4 industry indicators. You have same-store sales, traffic, labor, and capital expenditures, okay? And when we take a look at this graph, you have the current situation is the blue line, and then the red line is expectations of where business owners think things are going to go from here. And as you can see, over the past year or two, expectations have been higher than reality. You know, a lot of these restaurant owners have been hoping that things were going to turn around and go better for them than they have really been going, which obviously is a problem. So a lot of these restaurant operators are reporting a net decline in same-store sales, as well as 40% of restaurant operators right now said their same-store sales actually rose between August 2023 and August 2024. But 51% of operators said their sales declined in August. Okay, but that's an improvement from July, which 63% of them said sales declined. So on the one hand, you can look at it, things got better month over month, but it's actually much worse year over year. You also have restaurant operators continuing to report slower foot traffic in August. 26% said their customer traffic rose, only 26%, guys, and 58% reported a decline in restaurant traffic. And that represents the 17th consecutive month of net declines in customer traffic at restaurants, guys. 17th consecutive month. So we're rounding up close to 2 years now of declines of people going out to eat, which is something that kind of circles back to this most recent jobs report, because the highest reading by far was in the restaurant sector. You know, 69,000 new jobs in the latest jobs report of 250,000. That is a significant chunk of that jobs report claiming to be in the restaurant space, but yet most of these restaurants are reporting that things aren't going well. So literally all of those jobs must be in the 26% of restaurants that are doing well right now, which sounds kind of crazy and hard to believe, but that's the only way to slice it, unless the numbers are just wrong, which also could be the case, as we know. And for anybody curious, I'm walking through the Botanical Gardens in Golden Gate Park here today. This place is absolutely beautiful. I'd never been here before, and it was free for me to come in here today. So how cool is that? They didn't even charge. And you know, this report reminds me a lot of my conversation that you guys saw with Scott yesterday when we talked about his orthodontist practice and how things are still going well with him, but he knows other operators, especially closer to downtown San Francisco, where things aren't going so well. So this is just the classic example, guys. Like, this economy right now is the tale of the haves and the have-nots. You know, it's the people, some people are just doing extremely well and it's business as usual, and others are struggling to get by. Now, restaurant operators' expectations moving forward is that 28% said they expect their sales volume in 6 months to be higher than it was in the same period last year. 33% think that their sales will be lower than it was in the previous 6 months, and 39% expect their sales to remain about the same. So 39 plus 33 is 72%, guys. So 72% of restaurant operators believe that things are either going to get worse or stay about the same. So that is not the massive growth economy that we're constantly being told that we're in, that wow, GDP is spiking and everything is going fantastic, just look at the stock market, blah 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 blah. And when they talk to restaurant operators about their outlook on the overall economy, only 15% of them say that they expect economic conditions to improve in the next 6 months. 37% say they think conditions will worsen during the next 6 months, and 48% think conditions will remain about the same as they are right now. So once again, that kind of confirms the same sentiment about where they think their own businesses are going. It's just like, it's not really expected to get a whole lot better in the near future. And obviously, as a business owner, you're constantly trying to strive for more, right? You want to increase your revenue year over year. You want to increase your sales. You want to be successful, right? And if you don't feel like you're going to have that opportunity to be successful, that can definitely be demoralizing. And that's where a lot of these restaurant owners are feeling it right now. So if you're somebody who owns a restaurant, you know, let me know in the comments, or let us all know how things are going, guys. Like, are you seeing your sales increase? You know, is the restaurant busier than ever? Is it slower than ever? What's going on? Just give us all that real world input that we all like to read. One thing we know for sure is things aren't really getting that much better on the fast food front, because there's a company called Lamb Weston, and they are actually the largest producer of French fries in North America. Okay, and they supply pretty much all of the French fries to all these restaurants across the country, guys. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They just announced that they're going to be closing a production plant in Washington State because they are seeing a decrease in the amount of French fry sales, you know, to their suppliers, to places like McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and all these fast food restaurants that typically buy all their French fries. Well, they got to lay off 400 people now because of the slowing sales with French fries. In fact, shares, the publicly traded shares on the stock market of Lamb Weston have actually dropped 35% this year. That is a pretty big drop. They're kind of having the same problem as the housing market is having in Florida right now. They are oversupplied at a time when demand is low. That's exactly what's happening. It's an even bigger compounding problem for a company like this, because restaurants basically are the main buyers of their product. They say about 80% of people only eat French fries at restaurants. Most people don't make them at home. So there's not a huge demand for people buying their French fries and, you know, cooking them at home. You know, most people buy French fries and eat them at a restaurant, whether it's fast food or a normal restaurant. And then, like, take for example, you have McDonald's that extended their $5 meal deal all the way through the end of the year, right? Let's take a look at what that includes. Once again, it includes a McDouble or a McChicken and a small French fry, a 4-piece chicken McNuggets, and a small soft drink. So the problem is, even with these big promotional deals like the meal deal, people are getting small French fries now. They're not getting medium French fries. They're not getting the large fries. And I think they did away with the supersize thing a long time ago, but that used to be a thing. Just to show you how much of a problem this is, like for McDonald's and these other fast food restaurants. They say that McDonald's is 13% of Lamb Weston's business. Can you believe that? They buy 13% of all the French fries from this company. They're actually their largest customer. And you know, as much as McDonald's is trying to make things sound good right now, and oh, people are coming back to the restaurants and buying the $5 meal deals, the reality is that foot traffic to fast food restaurants was down 2% last quarter, and it was down 3% the quarter before that. So no matter what they come out and say, oh, look, our stock price is rebounding, you know, we're getting people back in the store, things are still actually not going as well as they were a year or two ago. Home Depot, they've also seen a big slowdown with the way things are going in this economy right now. So they have about 400 million square feet of warehouse space that they just put up for sublease, and this is supposed to help them cut their costs by about $500 million by early 2024. And this is all coming at a time when commercial real estate is not really in hot demand right now. And Home Depot is one of those companies that's been in and out of the news over the past couple of years, throwing out red flags about things with the economy right now. People are putting off a lot of home improvement projects because they either don't have the money. Also, those are things that people typically finance, and with the interest rates higher, a lot of people don't want to do it. A business like Home Depot is very vulnerable to what's happening with the housing market, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Also, Home Depot recently just missed their sales expectation in August, and their sales are down 3 to 4%, and that just goes to show you that people are not spending the money, guys. If foot traffic is down 2%, 3% at fast food restaurants, sales are down 3 or 4% at Home Depot, these businesses are clearly seeing the cutback in consumer spending that other businesses simply are not seeing. You know, here's the thing too. You have all these businesses that are seeing their sales slow down, people are hunkering down, not spending as much money as before, and at the same time, you know, you have our federal government giving away billions of dollars to other countries in free aid to fight proxy wars and, you know, help people that are not even citizens of this country. Meanwhile, we're going through one natural disaster after another here, and, you know, people here are being basically laughed out of the room and, you know, getting slapped in the face with very small payments and things like that. And listen, I've seen a lot of people make comments on the video I did talking about how FEMA's broke and all this stuff, and people say, well, I thought, you know, you're not in favor of the government helping people do anything. Well, I'm not, but the thing is, if they are going to help anyone, then it should be our own citizens before anybody else, right? That's just the way it should be. I don't think anybody would argue that, right? If you are going to have an agency that gives free aid and free help to people, then that help should be prioritized to the people who paid for it to begin with, because all of our tax money is what funds these programs like FEMA. So there's no way on earth that that money should go towards illegal immigration or foreign aid or anything else until everybody here is helped. That's all I have to say about it. One of my viewers, Steven, sent me this flyer from the mortgage company talking to parents about how it's such a great idea to use their home equity in order to pay for their kids' college tuition. If you're a parent, then the best way to use your home equity instead of having your kid get a student loan is to avoid taking out that student loan and use the equity from your house to pay for tuition. This can be a very wise decision, is what this flyer says. So yeah, it's a very wise decision to put your home on the line, you know, financially, and if something happens, you can't pay it back, you lose the house in foreclosure. That's the way to pay for college instead of student loans, guys. Both of these ideas are actually terrible. Student loans are terrible because you're on the hook for them forever, right? There's no getting out of them for the most part, unless some of the lucky people who got them forgiven. But in general, there's no getting out of these student loans, and it's definitely not a good idea to borrow against your house in order to pay for college tuition, especially if there might be no return on investment from that. You know, unless you're guaranteed that your kid is going to go to school and make a ton of money and be able to pay that money back, then it seems like a pretty bad idea. But parents are constantly marketed to in order to try to help their kids, and obviously if you love your kids, you want to help your kids, and sometimes they end up making foolish decisions like this and putting their home on the line for college tuition. It is just crazy the amount of creditors out there that are constantly trying to convince you to go into debt over one thing or another, and this is just the latest thing that somebody sent me. And one of my viewers, Justin, he sent me this flyer that he received about a limited time offer to get you to buy these houses, guys. He's up in Knoxville, Tennessee. He says that the supply up there is up pretty substantially of homes for sale. Meanwhile, the demand is dropping, and you can see that based on the recent price cuts of anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000 on average for a lot of these homes. And he says that a lot of the local real estate agents in the area are getting nervous, but they are living in denial because that's what most real estate agents are doing right now, trying to tell themselves that this market is okay and somehow it's going to rebound as soon as the next Fed rate cut comes through. But builders like this one are adding up all of these different upgrades to the property to try to get people in. Obviously, they're offering you a below market interest rate. They're trying to give you extra perks when buying the property, interior upgrades, things like that. And I think in general, when you just look at all this stuff, guys, the house is not moving, the restaurant sales slowing down, Home Depot sales slowing down, it just shows you that people are tapped out, and even the ones who aren't tapped out are actually scaling back spending right now and kind of like observing from afar to see what's going to happen. A lot of people are nervous about the election and the direction the economy is going to go after that. My personal opinion though, guys, is I am basically positive that no matter who gets elected, things are still not going to be going well in the US economy after that. We are still going to have a lot of problems to deal with. It's not going to make inflation magically disappear. It's not going to make buying a house magically cheaper or anything like that. Yeah, they can pull their little tricks and games and give out free money and free grants for different things, but at the end of the day, that doesn't fix our problems. It just makes inflation worse, which ends up making the economy worse. So I think everybody just needs to be ready for a rough next couple of years, because once this election is finished, that's likely when we're going to see the hammer drop on a lot of different things that you're not seeing happen right now. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.